Good morning and welcome to yet another episode of Order Up, the Final Order Cutoff show. We have an awesome show for you as we talk about all the comics on Final Order Cutoff this Monday, July 14th. Not only that, but we have comic legend Ann Nocenti here to talk about all sorts of amazing books that are out now or coming up this August, because it is going to be a fun one as we discuss a series of summertime releases that are on FOC this Monday. But you'll have to tune in after this opener. Hi everyone, I'm Mathias Lewis, and I'm here to talk to you about FOC, or Final Order Cutoff. It is the last chance that we, the comic retailers, have to finalize our orders for comics releasing roughly 3 to 6 weeks out from the Mondays we finalize our orders. We deal with this every Monday, but this is important to you, the consumer, because it is the perfect time to reach out to your local comic shop if you want any specific or guaranteed items. If you want the Jim Lee or Dan Mora covers of Justice League Unlimited, reach out to your local comic shop and let us know. If you want the new issue of Lilo and Stitch, this is the perfect time to tell us. Because as long as you can get us the orders before Monday at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, that will give your local comic shop retailer enough time to finalize that order, adding in whatever it is you want, so they can guarantee when it releases, we have a copy set aside waiting for you. So, always reach out to your local comic shop before 6 p.m. on Mondays with the comics you want. The sooner, the better, to guarantee they're waiting for you. All right, and we have some amazing books that are on Final Order Cutoff this week, Monday, July 14th. And of course, we have my ever so amazing workhorse of a producer, Kyle, and great co-host, chilling with us from a unique site. How are you doing, Kyle?
I'm good. I'm excited to get into some of the books this week. There's some end of some series that I'm pretty excited are ending because it means the next volume, which they've been hinting at for a while, is starting, aka a certain comic from Vault. And then there are some other things that's like, oh hey, we're getting a payoff in a long running storyline, and then you go to something like Dick Tracy number 11, which is the start of a new story arc, which means, guys, we're like a week away from the wrap up of the current amazing story arc that Alex Segura is doing. So, like I said, this is a good week. There's not a ton of number ones, but there's a lot of opportunity.
Opportunity is what we love. So, in that note, let's talk about where you can find the comics on Final Order Cutoff, because we are in a post-Diamond world, it seems like, these days, and there are two major websites you're going to want to go to. I'm actually on Lunar right now, so we'll talk about Lunar. LunarDistribution.com is where you're going to want to go to find all of your DC, Image, Oni Press, Vault, many of the publishers out there. But if you would like to specifically track down Marvel, IDW, Dark Horse, Distillery, Top Cow, Square Enix, or Kodansha, you're going to want to go to prhcomics.com. You'll be introduced to a website like this, prhcomics.com, where you'll scroll down and see FOC for July 14th, 2025. You will click on this, and you will be brought to a wonderful website here on PRH Comics, showing you all the comics on Final Order Cutoff. Make sure you sort it by A to Z. For some odd reason, it likes to start random, and you can start loading everything up. And since we're on PRH Comics right now, Kyle, I think it's time we may as well just dive directly into what Marvel, IDW, Dark Horse, Dark Horse, Kodansha, Top Cow, and more have to offer. What do you say?
Absolutely, let's do it.
All right. So
as always, we're going to talk about the spotlight books, the big new arcs, the big key issues, and things like that. But you can see everything at prhcomics.com, and make sure you get your orders to your retailers as soon as possible, because your local comic shop wants to guarantee you get the books, the covers, the items that you want when you let them know. So, Amazing Spider-Man #7 getting a second printing right off the bat. Beautiful John Romita Jr. covers the main, Lee Bermejo at the high incentive, along with the big time trade paperback. But the thing I want to talk about first is the final issue of Arcana Royale by the great Cullen Bunn. This has been an amazing series of a magical casino like heist. It is your Ocean's 11 with all sorts of mystical paranormal fun that only Cullen Bunn can bring you from Dark Horse. Then, as we scroll through, another big one is the newest one shot from Bring On the Bad Guys. This time we're focusing on one of the evilest villains in the Marvel Universe, Red Skull. Nothing darker than a dark Nazi making a deal with the devil. Stephanie Phillips, who's a bit of a historian herself, brings us an intense story with a backup by Mark Guggenheim, continuing these series of one shots on Bring On the Bad Guys that builds to a greater story. But this is a very twisted tale set in World War II of Red Skull versus Captain America. So that's going to have me excited. Speaking of weird combos, over on the Marvel front, Charles Soule, the man who brought us the Muse in Daredevil, is bringing Muse back in Eddie Brock Carnage. If you're not familiar with it, Eddie Brock is rocking the Carnage symbiote, and that is a hard symbiote to wield because it has a murderous intent and a desire to kill. So how is Eddie Brock going to deal with it? Well, maybe Eddie lets Carnage get what he wants, perhaps by targeting some prey that isn't all that innocent. Going to be a very interesting, continuation. Obviously, Muse is on a lot of Marvel fans' minds after Daredevil's recent season on Disney Plus. So it'll be fun to have Charles Soule pair these once again. A lot of great fun that is coming out from that. Um, Now, there are some great titles with Exquisite currently coming out in the comic world. Exquisite Corpses from James Tynion IV has been super amazing. But there's a new Exquisite that is coming in a manga realm, and that is Exquisite Blood. Exquisite Blood, the Heretic Onmyoji, is a new Square Enix title that has all of the classic tropes of manga. As humans fight demons, and demons take 10 items that now the human protagonists have to track down. As an Onmyoji, who are the praying, defenders of magic and the human realm in classic Japanese lore, feature a hunt to track down 10 holy relics to fight back against the demons. However, the Onmyoji that is going to be our protagonist lives up to his name as the heretic, as he is both loved and hated by the humans. This is going to be a very fun and interesting new manga from Square Enix. I think everything about it is the exciting tropes of the hunt for items like we got in Dragon Ball, to the fight of demons that we're getting in modern demon, demon hunters and more. Um, just sounds fun. I mean, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Brand new manga series, always good. I have a few manga I get to talk about today, and we don't get to talk manga enough on the show, do we, Kyle?
We do not, especially because right now there is some really truly unique work being done in the manga sphere. And you can just tell by going to any of the comic news sites by how much they're having to cover manga and how much they're having to cover direct to consumer graphic novels. It's growing so fast.
But it's also an interesting time because with manga, Diamond used to be an easy source where you could grab everything. It was a catch-all. But now that has spread out with Diamond stepping back, no longer fulfilling its roles that it once did. So the average local comic shop has to go through a number of different distributors, from Penguin Random House, Lunar, Simon and Schuster, Hachette, and more. So always worth reaching out to your local comic shop to make sure they still have access to all the various manga you enjoy. And the big problem being that not all of the manga is still available through traditional final order cutoff options. So you might have to reach out to your local comic shop a little early if you want some of those amazing titles from, say, Viz, Yen Press, and others. But thankfully, almost every comic shop stocks Marvel, so they're going to have Penguin Random House where you'll get Kodansha and Square Enix. Speaking of Marvel, Fantastic Four. I don't know if you guys went out and grabbed Fantastic Four #1, which is on stands as of this past week. It is Ryan North kicking butt with an awesome new tale, and issue #2 is on FOC with a number of great covers, including that classic homage that we all love, and now gets a Disney touch, as you can see right there, by Alessandro Pastoricio. So all sorts of fun there. And then, of course, continuing our love of J. Scott Campbell with the Just Spectacular collection, the JSC doubled up, J. Scott Campbell Just Spectacular collection. I just wish that Scott had those covers to his editors in time that we got to see them before FOC. But it's Scott Campbell. You know what to expect. It's going to be beautiful artwork, much like a lot of the other great covers Fantastic Four has. At Rose Besh, beautiful, beautiful piece. Not to mention the connecting covers of the Marvel Rivals that were on #1 out this week, and you can see #2 now with Mr. Fantastic, the Invisible Woman, and Herbie. And then, of course, Scotty Young's got connecting covers as we get to see the continuation of Mr. Fantastic's ever so stretching arms and the Invisible Woman. But the cover I got to point out, I don't know if you see it, Kyle, is that MCU Marvel Studio cover featuring our Silver Surfer that will be depicted in just a few short weeks on the big screen in the new Fantastic Four movie. Beautiful piece right there. Are you hyped, Kyle? Are you excited about the new Fantastic Four movie?
I am. I spent an unreasonable amount of money on the Herbie popcorn bucket. That will hold candy and pop as well. But I'll be honest, I've still got to get through the Superman movie before I can really start to look ahead at Fantastic Four. That said, that Rose Besh cover on the new Fantastic Four book, is just incredible.
It is absolutely amazing. I do love that we have a bit of an Invisible Woman theme on the covers there. I hope that means that Ryan has an Invisible Woman theme in the interior on this, but that is an amazing cover. And just, I don't know how that didn't make it into our top 10, but it's all the more exciting to get you guys ready for the top 10 later to see what overtook that as a spot. Lots of fun to be said there. And then, yeah, popcorn buckets. Who would have thought that'd be the collectible that we'd be talking about? Because I don't even know which popcorn bucket I will want yet for Fantastic Four. Do I want the light up Galactus, the Herbie? Like I had a hard choice with Superman. I had to go for the Crypto Bowl because now my little Crypto can enjoy some water out of it after I definitely ate enough popcorn last night at the Superman movie to need about 3 gallons of water. So moving on, Ghostbusters, Dead Man's Chest, continuing our wonderful Ghostbuster film series in comic form from David Booher. And then Jackson Lanzing, Colin Kelly wrap up their giant size finale to the giant size one-shots in the X-Men universe, giving us all the key moments of X-Men from Kamala Khan's perspective as she hops through time. It wraps up this Monday's FOC with an August 13th release date with Giant Size X-Men 2, giving us an end cap to this big epic, but also perhaps leading into notably more. I have to point out the Ivan Talavera cover because those Ivan Talavera covers have been some of the most demanded covers in comic shops this summer, and ending it on Magic, always the way to go. Ileana Rasputin, perhaps one of the most popular X-Men nowadays, thanks to Marvel Rivals and just, everything she's been doing in comics across the board. So a lot of fun there. You can get a bit of a hint of what's coming when you scroll down and look at all of the details relating to this. Big hint that there is a artist name to come on the Jed McKay backup on that. So introducing a new major player in the X universe. So don't sleep on Giant Size X-Men #2. I don't think you should ever sleep on anything with Giant Size X-Men in the title. From the first Giant Size X-Men, which was obviously the introduction of some major characters, to even just about a year and a half ago, our special guest from later, Ann Nocenti did a giant size X-Men. Every giant size X-Men, always a big deal. So that is going to be fun. But we have a lot of great things on FOC this week. Godzilla getting James Stokoe's classic Godzilla in Hell with an anniversary edition in foil from IDW. Not to mention Godzilla versus Thor. I'm hoping everyone who loves Godzilla or the Marvel Universe picked up Godzilla versus Thor when it hit a few weeks ago. But the second printing is on FOC this Monday. So if you missed out on it, you can still grab a copy. It is going to be huge because Godzilla versus Thor, if you didn't if you did not read it, ties directly into the upcoming Godzilla Destroys the Marvel Universe. And if you want to see Godzilla take on the Marvel Universe, this is a big one. I mean,
so does that mean we know that Predator didn't actually destroy the Marvel Universe during the Predator Tries to Kill the Marvel Universe stories?
well, clearly it was Deadpool who kills the Marvel Universe for the third time.
Right? Can we stop trying to kill the Marvel Universe with characters that could easily do it, please?
I mean, it's just what happens to the Marvel Universe. The Marvel Universe is a great cycle of death and rebirth, destruction and rebirth, and in Deadpool's case, multiple cases of killing it all and rebirth.
No, that's true.
Yeah, I'm actually shocked we never get the rebirth comics. We always get the destruction, the death, the killing. When are we going to get, well, no, I shouldn't say that because then we'll just end up with another Heroes Reborn.
Right?
So here's a big one I got to talk about is Grimm. We're on the penultimate issue of Grimm. And if you haven't been reading this Stephanie Phillips masterpiece, this is getting intense. 25 issues and it's done. And we're on issue 24. So definitely be talking about that a little bit more later. One, though, that I have to give attention to because we didn't give enough attention to it as the single issues were coming out is Jump Scare. Did you get a chance to read the single issues of Jump Scare?
I did not.
I feel this is your book.
Well, I didn't, only because I missed the first two. I missed the FOCs on them.
And that's my fault.
Hmm?
That is my fault because that's something.
No, that isn't. That was me making a financial decision. But I did order the trade. This was on my list this week.
Absolutely, and you should, because if you're not aware of it, this is a Cullen Bunn masterpiece. Cullen Bunn, the writer who does it all. I swear he writes more books than any other comic writer, and probably has his name on more books than Stan Lee at this point. But right. Cullen Bunn brings an interesting superhero take, as this young superhero that becomes the most popular superhero of her universe has the ability to pull any item from a horror movie that she's watched. So all of your favorite horror items, those blood-soaked killer devices from your favorite horror movie, gets pulled into real life with her superpower as she uses them for good as a superhero. It is a weird combination, but a crazy twist and just absolutely brilliant. And if you missed out on the single issues, you need to grab the trade paperback on this. This is something I should have been spotlighting on the FOC for the single issues. But sometimes the problem is we don't get to read these. We are diving into this blind. Sometimes we can talk with the publishers and creators and get advanced looks to talk with you guys and let you guys know. Sometimes we don't get that advantage. All the more reason why, if you're a publisher or artist or writer and you want to get this talked about, let us know so we can, cherry pick these amazing things. But sometimes it is more of the opposite. We get to read these with everyone else. And then I get to tell you guys about how great the story was so you can order the trade paperback.
Right. No, I remember when I first just heard about the premise, right? And I remember thinking, this is going to be something I really enjoy, but I think I would rather have the trade of it and be able to just plow through it in one sitting. And so again, like, I made a financial decision to pick up other books that the trades are less likely to get made than this one. So I'm excited to finally be able to sit down and read this all in one afternoon.
Yeah. And it's also the reminder that, sometimes we're not always going to target every great thing you need to read. It's always best to go to your local comic shop, to enter your local comic shop, talk to the wonderful people behind the counter there, and hear what they think is the coolest thing coming out. Not only before FOC, which is always ideal, but sometimes on day of release or even a few weeks later. Like, what is the number one thing your local comic shop retailer, shop owner, shop manager, or better yet, even the guy who's just hanging out in the shop. What are they reading? Because sometimes that's where you're going to get the coolest finds is, finding the guy who does this for a living at your local comic shop, who knows you as an individual best. What do they think that you're going to enjoy reading?
Right.
So speaking on that, I really quickly want to take a moment. There's some major news the Experience is doing. If you haven't, you got to check out social media for the EXP because there's going to be some really cool comic shop news on there. Kyle, like, what's the social media for the EXP?
The_EXP almost everywhere, or you can go over to Linktree. I will put the link in the comments for our Linktree that has all of our links to social media all in one place, where you can find out there. We sent out an email this morning with the full release information in it. So if you missed that, maybe check your email. But that email is also shared on all of our socials.
Yeah, I don't want to steal it from there, so just take a look when you get a chance. It'll be the teaser, but we'll be talking about the big news on the EXP on various shows coming up over the weeks to come, well, months to come. But it is awesome, and just that reminder that we here at the EXP love your local comic shop, your local comic shop. So always support your local comic shop. That is the goal here. We just love comics as a whole. Comics are amazing.
Since Mr. Nope asked, I will answer. It's really going to be 18 hours. Unless something goes wrong, it's going to be more than 18 hours.
Ooh. So there's a little bit more hint of what that is. And if you want to know what everyone's talking about, check out the EXP social, or over the next few days, you'll probably see the EXP talked about on quite a few major comic news sites. So continuing on, Laura Kinney Wolverine. I am loving this book, and man, I love the covers. Even the covers we can't see from J. Scott Campbell. I'm jesting a little bit because it's the frustration of an FOC show not having the covers on FOC. But I love Scott Campbell. He is a wonderful human being. He is a brilliant artist. I just wish we could see these covers, but they're going to be good is the best part. You can always trust Scott's going to do amazing artwork. And you can blindly reach out to your local comic shop and order those with confidence that you will love the cover when you get it. But look at that Sowie cover, who got her cover in on time. That is another amazing piece. Laura Kinney, Magic, all the X-Girls tend to always have amazing covers. It's like the editors at Marvel know, let's put the best covers on the X books. Speaking of which, there's Magic with some amazing, amazing covers. Horak doing, Horak is writing it. J. Scott Campbell doing an amazing cover. Russell Dodderman doing an awesome incentive. Just all these amazing covers. I'm going to end up buying every cover of Magic, which is all the more reason why you want to reach out to your local comic shop when you do want multiple covers of a book. That way they can make sure you're not stuck with whatever one they ordered for you or whatever's left over on the wall, because those are the type of books that rush to sell out as everyone is lined up waiting at your local comic shop for Wednesday morning when it opens to grab all those awesome covers. So let them know what you want. Next big one, though, we have to talk about. A lot of Marvel on there. IDW, of course, the home of Godzilla. Even though Godzilla is finding his way at Marvel and DC, IDW has the home for that with the Kaisei books and my favorite Mothra, wrapping up the Queen of the Monsters miniseries with that great FOC right there. But let's see. The big one I want to talk about, Resident Alien is back. Whether you're loving Alan Tudyk in the sci-fi series or you just love the incredible Peter Hogan comic that has been coming out for years, a brand new 4-issue miniseries of Resident Alien, The Book of Changes, is on FOC this week. And not only do we get more of Harry and his significant other and their new child. Sorry if it's a spoiler on the TV series, but that's a big one in the comics. But Harry's fellow aliens are coming to Earth, and that's sure to be big changes that are going to make you, who are big Resident Aliens fans, want to grab this new miniseries. I think this one's going to be exciting. Then on the manga front, reincarnated in a mafia dating sim. Sometimes it doesn't matter how isekai it gets, you just can't escape your life. As the granddaughter of a Yakuza boss who's already kind of got a bit of a livelihood gets reincarnated in a mafia dating sim as the daughter of the mob boss. However, this time the young mafia heiress decides she does not want to be stuck in this life and is going to use her insider knowledge, having already lived this role, to try and escape it. I think it's going to be a fun and goofy take coming from Tokyo Pop. You know, isekai is happening so much in the manga world. It's fun when we find a way to break the traditional trope, even if breaking the trope means diving headfirst into the trope. So this will be a goofy one, and already I'm. It's rare that I'm pulled into the isekai world. I know some of you guys love isekai. I like the idea when we break isekai, so that'll be a fun one. Um, on that note, though, there's another manga I have to talk about. Perhaps one of my favorite manga coming out. I'm a huge Blue Lock fan, but my favorite manga, unquestionably, is Smoking Behind the Supermarket with You. I've been reading this book since it was a web comic on Twitter back in 2022. This is my favorite manga. The people at Square Enix will tell you I am obsessed with Smoking Behind the Supermarket with You, whether it's in Japanese or in English. And now we have Volume 5 finally on FOC, so I can talk about it with all of you guys. If you're not reading Smoking Behind the Supermarket, it is a perfect slice of life manga, which may not be everyone's tale, especially with smoking being involved. But this tells the story of a young businessman or salary man who his one escape in life is to go to his local convenience store and pick up a pack of cigarettes from this delightfully wonderful young clerk. However, he's too embarrassed to ever talk to her, even though he's absolutely infatuated with her. And when he gets the chance to have a smoke break behind the supermarket with what he believes is her coworker, a super punk rock and crazy girl who's definitely in your face, he doesn't realize that's the same girl he's in love with, just in a completely different attitude and time when she can put her piercings back in, let her hair down, and be who she really is. But a budding romance starts with him completely unaware it's the same girl he's in love with behind the counter of this convenience store. I have been loving this manga from the start. Every chapter is amazing, and things are about to start finally revealing themselves to our salaryman protagonist in volume 5. So, if you want the perfect slice of life, amazing comic that is about absolutely nothing and everything in romance, this is it. For anyone who ever loved those classic romance comics, for everyone who wants a good slice of life manga, I cannot stress this enough. Go to your local comic shop, tell them you want Smoking Behind the Supermarket with You, catch up on the 4 volumes that are currently out, and pre-order volume 5. This is my big manga love, and it is worth it. So hopefully, I don't know, Kyle, are you still with us? Is that something you've ever
Damn.
read? Like, did I pitch you on Smoking Behind the Supermarket with You?
You sold me on it. It's the one that I hadn't ordered, but I'm gonna go see if I can get it stuck in this afternoon.
Honestly, I
Um,
got to make sure I'm holding the Kodansha Square Enix English version, but this is the manga to read.
Absolutely, it sounds like a book that I would really be into.
Yeah, it's a fun one. But also kids at home, don't smoke. Smoking's bad for you.
Oh, I just assumed that we were like the smoking because it's manga was like as we summon our genie or we're playing with smoke bombs or something, not actually smoking heaters.
Ah, I mean, it's comics. It'll kill you, son.
It's
But
true.
not about smoking. But I will say that it is the manga that has driven me to do horrible, horrible things to my lungs. So just keep in mind, don't smoke, folks. So that being said, let's do something that's a little bit lighter. Let's go to a galaxy far, far away in a time period where the Jedi are still a delightful force to be reckoned with. Star Wars Jedi Knights number 6 gets us the start of a new storyline and brings us a new Jedi that we have never seen before, only to find them dead. Jedi Master Fondar Etsis is unfortunately dead. So we get 3 of my favorite Jedi, Qui-Gon Jinn, Mace Windu, and Ayla Secura. The only way this could be better is if it had Quinlan Voss in it, to go track down the body and find out who killed Jedi Master Etsis. Mark Guggenheim has been kicking butt on the Jedi Knight storyline. If you haven't grabbed the first 5 issues, it's definitely worth going to your shop, tracking them down, getting the trade paperback, however. But I am super excited for issue 6 with his introduction of a great plot line. Because who didn't want Law and Order Jedi Task Force?
Dong dong.
Yeah. I'm waiting for that. Disney Plus, this is your chance. You can get a wonderful Law and Order.
Well, Law and Order is owned by Universal, so
I know, but we can always have that combo. We're in an era where Godzilla goes to every single publisher, where DC and Marvel are crossing over with Deadpool, Batman in a few short months. I think we can
yeah.
get.
But do you expect Star Wars to cross over with Dick Wolf?
I mean, just imagine hearing the incredible opening to that as performed by one of the greatest concert.
Dum, dun, dun,
There it is.
dum,
Yeah.
dun, dun. In
The problem,
space, the people are represented by 2 separate yet equally important groups: the Jedi, who break the rebellion, who break the law, and the Federation, who enforce them. They don't like each other. These are their stories.
that it is. What's killing me is I am trying to remember the name of the person who did all the music for Star Wars through Superman.
John Williams.
John Williams. I was trying to make a John Williams doing the opener to Law and Order. It would be an epic sound, but yeah, I apparently just can't remember things. It's the heat of summer is blasting down on me without an air conditioner in Southern California.
You know the fun fact, right? That John Williams' son was the lead singer for Toto and wrote and performed the Gummy Bears cartoon theme song.
I didn't know any of those facts.
Yep.
Well,
so
let's
the
get
Star Wars theme song spawned gummy bears bouncing here and there and everywhere.
wait for that John Williams concert. That sounds amazing.
Yeah.
All right, let's break away to talk Marvel. The Immortal Thor is dead. As of Al Ewing's recent issue, Al Ewing is back with a brand new series, The Mortal Thor, or just Thor. It is Thor #1. Beautiful Alex Ross cover as Al Ewing returns to the series that he never left with a brand new #1. A young man with a hammer in a world where there is no Norse mythology. People don't know of the tales of Odin, Hela, Thor, and more. So how do we get this return? Is this going to be a Donald Blake type of adventure, or is it going to be just a young man with a hammer? I'm honestly a little intrigued, but a little fearful of how this is going to be. I mean, it's enough that I'm going to grab the #1 to find out, but I don't know what to expect in the new Thor.
I'm really starting to lean into that leave Thor alone camp. Do we really need to torture Thor that much more? But I'm excited for this one because Al Ewing's writing on Thor is some of the best Thor writing we've seen in the last few years. So I'm excited to see what he does.
Yeah. From the moment he picked up after Donny Cates, I have been intrigued to see where this would go, and it has been an interesting journey. So, like I said, he's got me for issue #1 at least. And thankfully, there's a million different covers that I will want to go after, many of which not yet depicted. Like the theme of the joke is J. Scott Campbell. Oh, I love J. Scott Campbell. I cannot wait to see these covers. I just wish we had them before FOC. So, but that being said, look at that. Patrick Gleason, he did all the great Spiderweb covers. He's done a number of those things. Now we get a Lightning cover in foil. That's going to be quite the piece to put on there.
Well, and that Joe Quesada isn't anything to sneeze at either.
Yeah. Oh, I'm loving that we're getting Joe back on artwork. It is exciting. But one that I think is going to be exciting for you, did you see that Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Journeys, the classic Peter Laird, Jim Lawson tale from 24 years ago, is coming back to print?
Did I see it?
Did you see it?
Really?
Give it to me, Cal.
Let's see. On TMNT Journeys, there are the original Jim Lawson cover. There is the Eastman variant. There's a 1 in 10 Lawson RI in foil. I think I'm getting 4 of the 1 in 10s. I'm just saying. The thing about Peter you have to remember is Peter doesn't do a lot of conventions. He doesn't do a lot of appearances. He doesn't do a lot of work anymore. We talked about trying to get Peter on the show, and it's one of those things is that to spring a show like this on Peter Laird wouldn't get you the response you want. So understanding that we're bringing a Peter book back into print, that it's going to be Jim Lawson art, just understand how rare this idea is.
Yeah.
It's not something that generally we would jump up on and be like, oh, we expect this. No. We expect there to be Tom Waltz. We expect there to be now Jason Aaron. We expect there to be Joel Jones. We expect there to be Kevin Eastman. We expect there to have Jim and Peter back in print is not something we ever expected. So,
yeah, and I mean, I hate to say, I slept on this, 24 years ago. I read Turtles. I grew up and lived Turtles, in the 80s and the 90s. It was one of those things that by the 2000s, I wasn't paying attention. It wasn't until the 2010s when IDW relaunched the Turtles with Kevin Eastman that I dove back into my Turtles love. So this is going to be exciting for me as somebody who missed out on this to get a chance to reread this or to read
Absolutely.
this actually for the first time. But I mean, it's going to be a fun one. It'll be an affordable, easy way for people to actually gain access to this and also to a much wider audience than I think had access to it, honestly, in the early 2000s. So this will be fun. But speaking of Jason Aaron, though, like, reapproaching things. Well, we have Ultimates and Umbrella coming. Actually, hold on. First off, I got to point out that Ultimate Universe Invasion box set slipcase. If you have slept on the Ultimate Universe for any absurd reason, and some of you have, let's be honest, a slipcase of all of the trades that will get you caught up on the new Jonathan Hickman era Ultimate Universe for $120. It's a pricey thing, but it's a way that you need to, regather all of this with Ultimate Invasion, Ultimate Spider-Man, Ultimate X-Men, Ultimate Black Panther. Grab this slipcase, dive in. It will be worth it because you want every single part of this before we hit that 24-month period that will bring the maker back in ways we can't even yet fathom. Ultimate Universe Invasion slipcase. Plus, it'll just look great on your bookshelf. But here's the big one. Jason Aaron, like I said, he revitalized the Turtles with a brand new ongoing series relaunching at #1. He had his big masterpiece in Uncle Scrooge, that one shot from Marvel a while back, and I thought that was the end. We weren't getting any more Jason Aaron Uncle Scrooge as much as I wanted it. I had people at my local shop begging to add this series to my pull, and I'd be like, sorry, it's a one shot. You have it all. Except I was wrong. I was wrong, and I am so happy to be proven wrong. As Uncle Scrooge returns under Jason Aaron's pen in Uncle Scrooge, Earth Mightiest Duck. Look at that incredible Delato cover. That is awesome. Uncle Scrooge by Jason Aaron. Tell me you didn't want more of this.
Oh, I definitely did. I just wish that this Uncle Scrooge was crossing over with some of the stuff that Dynamite is doing. And so we were getting, Uncle Scrooge and Darkwing crossovers, those kind of things. That's not to say it won't happen. It's just not happening here. And I thought that might have been a good direction to take it after that one shot. But I also know that you got to give Jason Aaron the room to cook. So I'm going to let him cook.
Yeah, it'll be very interesting if we can get like Dynamite and Marvel to work together on some kind of Jason Aaron DuckTales.
Right?
I'm sure Marvel will be selfish and tell Nikki, whoa, that's a brilliant idea. We like that, but we're just going to keep it over here at Marvel. But nevertheless, it is fun stuff. I am excited. This was a just masterpiece of sell through, and if for any reason you still have any copies at your local comic shop, go grab it if you haven't read it. Or be excited that this is going to help push those last copies off the shelf and into hands because this is awesome. And it gives me some Star Wars vibes. Tell me that Del Otto cover doesn't give you like some like Shadows of the Empire, Return of the Jedi, Han Solo, and Carbonite feel.
Well, I think maybe we should hold on to this and discuss it more later in the show.
I think we should. I mean, there might be good reason to do that. Obviously, VR Trooper is getting a second printing with a nice design variant. Always love those design variants, and Boom has been knocking it out of the park. I love the nostalgia that's doing that. But here's the big one. That Canadian dude, Chip Zdarsky, has the gall to write Captain America of all things with that big Captain America release on July 1st. And damn, it was good. But he's going to go even harder as this Canadian writer starts talking about the White House, the capital of the United States political empire, or I shouldn't say empire, that sounds horrible. But Chip Zdarsky is telling us a tale in White House robot romance as he deals with two servants in the White House that are a bit of a cybernetic form in the way of a White House robot chef and a White House robot servant during a time period where the White House in America prepares to go to war with Canada. Chip Zdarsky, always a man of humor. This is an exciting tale in the vein of We Stand on Guard. I am so looking forward to a romance tale of two robot servants of the White House in a time period where America prepares to take Canada as its 51st state or otherwise bring it to its knees. This is going to be all sorts of humor, romance, and political intrigue in ways I just can't even fathom. I don't know what to expect. This is going to be amazing, is what I expect. Take a look at this great, pitch down here when you get a chance. As Service Bot 1 and Chef Bot 9 find their romance. This is going to be amazing. Traditional distillery Prestige Plus format. This is going to be magazine size. It'll be thick. For $8.99, you're getting 48 awesome pages. And I am loving all of the covers on this. The Rachel Stout A cover I have to show off is just beautiful with the bloody maple leaf, Richard Nixon. Everything about this is just hilarious. I wish Kyle were available for comment on this, but this is going to be great. Great. And we'll be talking more about Chip Zdarsky in a little bit. I love Chip. He is just a hilariously amazing human being. And I love that places like Marvel and Distillery are letting him just go completely off the leash with all the craziness that is in his head. Before we cut to a commercial break, I want to show off X-Men 20. Jed McKay has been kicking butt on this with a lot of great covers available there. And if you missed that incredible Hellfire Vigil one-shot, the second printing is back with a new black and white incentive cover from Rose Besh. But we have a commercial break that we are going to, before we bring on our incredible guest, Ann Nocenti, a comic book legend. So if we can, I think it is time we do a quick commercial break before we bring on our incredible special guest.
Sure, comic books are beautiful, but underneath, there's something more authentic and exciting. The original art. See the pencils, the lines, the shading, as if you were there in the studio watching the artist work. Getting a peek at comics' backstage is easy with the original art experience.
All right, Friday night, guys. Thank you for being here. To be doing anything, the fact that you're here means the world to me.
Nick's pieces are always value priced with your budget in mind, for the beginning collector to the veteran.
And this is gorgeous. You got Aquaman and Mira.
Join the original art experience with Nick and our friendly crew of regulars, even if it's just to enjoy the art. Fridays at 7. It's all part of the experience.
welcome back, everyone. So we have an incredible guest today. She has been not only a journalist, a filmmaker, a teacher, she is a comic book writer and editor extraordinaire, editing some of the best Marvel comics of the 1980s, writing for DC, Marvel, IDW, and more. The incredible Ann Nocenti.
Hi,
Hi, Ann. How are you doing today?
I'm good.
Now, Ann, you have worked on some of the best books in the comic industry over the last several decades. One of the most famous is unquestionably your Daredevil, which just recently had a proper omnibus of you and John Romita Jr.'s work of the late 80s. Can you tell us a little bit about what it was like following up Frank Miller on Daredevil and doing some of the most impressive storytelling in Marvel Comics on the character?
Oh, well, that's very sweet of you to say. I mean, John Romita Jr. and I had a blast, obviously. And, there was a little family at Marvel. There was John Romita Sr., who was the art director and ran Romita Raiders. Virginia Romita kept all the books on time. And Johnny was their son. So I got to work with the Romita family. So Frank Miller, who brought all kinds of genius new aesthetics to his run on Daredevil. He brought in influences from Japanese film, most famously, and his iconic development of his iconography and how he did the big square eyes, which I always loved. And it's so I was a journalist, or I wanted to be a journalist, and Denny O'Neil was right there in the office. So Denny was always like, just put it in the comics, because that's what he had done. And he did his famous No Hope in Crime Alley, or whatever that was called. I could be getting everything wrong. That was so long ago. And so I just, because I lived in New York, I just started walking around Hell's Kitchen, looking up at buildings, imagining Daredevil was up there, looked down at the street, and just started building this kind of almost based on a documentary style world. And I think one of the things that I did was I started with a bunch of creepy villains that I thought would have risen out of the bowels of Hell's Kitchen. And then one day my brilliant editor, Ralph Macchio, said, "You're kind of ignoring Daredevil. You're just doing weird villain after weird villain." And that's when Johnny and I came up with Typhoid Mary, because the dual identity of a hero was a perfect thing to mesh with someone who also had double, triple identities. And she could go after the different personas of Matt Murdock and Daredevil. And then just, once you start working with an artist, and Johnny really wanted to cut loose. And so that's when we did we went to Hell, and he redesigned Mephisto. And Johnny brought a sense of style and finesse to every page. It was just such a joy. So I guess that's we built on Frank, but we definitely went running off. And I one of the things is sort of when you're young and naive, you're not intimidated because you have the confidence of ignorance in a way, like I had new to comics. I was ignorant as to the great legend Frank that I was following. So I had, I guess you could say, the confidence of ignorance, and we just did our own thing. We just were so excited that we didn't let the pressure take us down.
Well, it led to such an iconic run that I'm so happy that everyone can get now with the new Daredevil Omnibus that recently came back into stock for March 12th of this year. So you can reach out to your local comic shop and order the Daredevil Omnibus by Nocenti and John Romita Jr. and grab all that. But jumping forward several decades, your most recent Marvel story was What If Galactus Transformed Rogue, which was an amazing one-shot, now collected as of July 1st in the What If Galactus trade paperback. Can you talk a little bit about what drove you to write a tale of Rogue becoming the Herald of Galactus?
Well, it was an assignment. So I have worked with like a whole bunch of wonderful editors at Marvel, and for this book, Marvel called and said, "Do you want to do Rogue?" And they gave me the basic premise, which was anything you wanted to do, really. And so Rogue being, I chose to have it happen before she met Mystique and Destiny, before she joined the X-Men. So it's kind of and I just think she's so sassy. She has that incredible Southern, sass. And I thought that, and a rogue is someone who goes their own way, of course. So I thought she would be the perfect person to get right up in Galactus's face and say, "This is not cool what you're asking me to do. You're kidnapping me. You're harnessing me to this cosmic journey of having to decide which planets to kill." So the idea of being the herald for Galactus, the skill is tempering Galactus's hunger, like steering him towards the least odious planets. Like Silver Surfer famously kept him from devouring Earth, which I think maybe the upcoming FF movie, takes that moment when Silver Surfer and when the Fantastic Four help stop Galactus from eating Earth. So it's wonderful that this story, that particular story that took place decades and decades ago, I think it was a Jack Kirby story, right? And that's going to be launched in a movie upcoming this summer, which I'm really excited to see. So Rogue got to have her own little angle. And in the end, not to be a spoiler, but in the end, Rogue comes up with an agreement. She bargains with Galactus and comes up with a way to make it palatable for her to be leading him to devouring whole planets.
It is amazing and very topical, and almost leads wonderfully into our next story. But you can always grab the What If Galactus trade paperback. It's out now on stands. You might even be able to grab a copy of the single issue of What If Galactus Transformed Rogue at your local comic shop. So don't hesitate to reach out and ask them. But we brought you on for a big reason. You are one of the lead writers in the relaunch of EC's Cruel Universe. EC's Cruel Universe started last August in 2024 and as a 5-issue miniseries. Now it is returning in full form as a 12-issue maxi series horror anthology from Oni Press. So you get to be one of the lead writers on this with a brand new story. Can you talk a little bit about what you're bringing to the horror of the grand universe and sci-fi and EC's Cruel Universe?
I mean, to give your listeners some context, it's an honor to work for the EC universe because it was famously founded by William Gaines, or actually I think he inherited the company from his father, Max Gaines. And it was the launch pad for so many great artists like Wally Wood. And, my personal favorite, Marie Severin, was the colorist there, and which led her to coming to Marvel. And also she's a brilliant comedic artist. And she ended up doing a little story where she made a caricature of me, which was a wonderful honor because she's also famous for doing caricatures of all those early EC creators. And so there's the legacy of, and then there's the sort of moment when, I don't know if your readers know about The Seduction of the Innocent, which was the Wortham book that basically said, children are going to get hurt by seeing all this stuff. And they were reduced to going back to romance and sci-fi. I think they had to shut down the horror aspect, which I think killed the book for a while. I'm not really sure. But so many great talents came out of the early EC creepy. And I think that's because there's a lack of anthologies. Anthologies are great for people who are between bigger jobs that just need to do a couple stories. They're great for launching new talent with just a 8 or 10 pager. But then also the art of a short story, especially an EC story, which is you're going to have the twist ending. And I was, when I was a kid, we used to read O. Henry stories, with famously had like a twist ending. And then Twilight Zone was always great for that. And so you can study these early examples of a building a twist ending, which is also kind of, you have to foreshadow, but not foreshadow so much that you telegraph too much. And your twist ending has to be sort of surprising, but not unexpected. It has to be like, oh yeah, rather than, huh? So there's a lot of craft that goes into an EC short story. And you can see it even in the influence on Black Mirror today, that great television series, which again, I think what that connects to is, what are we afraid of? So when you do an EC story, or you think, what are modern day fears, which is basically the formula for Black Mirror. So for my first EC story, I just, it was sort of about the unintended consequences of AI, so the premise is that a young influencer she wants to be able to talk to animals. And so she uses AI to record like 1 billion hours of dolphin speak, and then brings her little translator to a dolphin playground and to talk to the dolphins. And the tension in the story is, if animals could tell us what they think of humans, what would they tell us? You walk around in the natural world and, here's some smog, here's some pollution. What are those fish thinking about when we dump stuff in their rivers? And what do birds think about smokestacks? And so dolphins, as one of the most intelligent mammals of the sea, the idea became, what would dolphins have to say to us?
And as it's EC, it's quite the twist. I can honestly say it is not the ending I was expecting. And
Oh, good.
I think it'd be all the more amazing for readers when they get the book in a few short weeks.
And I just started another one. I don't think it's announced yet, so I'm not going to talk about it. But I get to team up with truly a great legend in the comic business. So, but I don't know if they've released that yet.
Hopefully we'll get to hear soon, and we'll get to hear many more stories, because as you have wonderfully valued the incredible anthologies of EC, it is an exciting idea that we're going to have you working on more. Cruel Universe #1 releases August 6th. I want to remind everyone to reach out to your local comic shop, choose one of the incredible covers that is currently available for order this Monday on FOC. And for anybody who wants to learn more about you and that wants to discover what upcoming titles and books you're working on as they get announced, where can people find you online?
I'm on Instagram. I'm on Facebook. I'm sort of still on Twitter, but not really, because I can't comprehend Twitter anymore, what's going on there. And I have a website, which is my name, but it's Annie Nocenti, ANNIE-NOCENTI, where you can see my films, my journalism, all that other stuff, and a bunch of links to comics.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, some great covers as we're showing on screen right now. We have the A cover by Lee Bermejo, Tom Fowler's B cover. There's quite a few on there. Not to mention, we should point out that your incredible artist, Kano, did a stunning job with his depiction, not only of dolphins, but other things that you'll find when you open the pages of
Well, Kano was amazing. I mean, I knew just from his layouts, they were hilarious. I mean, he can do. He's one of those artists that has an amazing range. And this story, because 10 pagers are difficult because they're so light. You know, you only have so much room, and you have a lot of setup to get the reward. And so there were literally double narratives going on. There was a narrative on the screen behind the influencer as she talks. And Kano managed to not only put everything in, but he did it he lifted the whole story to a place of real humor. Like that's one of the delights of working with artists, is that you turn your story in. The artists can take it in any direction they want, and we welcome that. You can take it to a really horrific, realistic, direction. And when Kano's layouts came in and they were full of humor, I went, this is so perfect. And also, I want to shout out the editors at Oni are magnificent. I mean, they're so detail oriented. They're really thoughtful, and it's a great little team over there. So if you're a great artist or writer, I would encourage you to do a couple of EC stories.
Absolutely. And I mean, again, opening Cruel Universe, an amazing relaunch of the sci-fi horror anthology that we loved last year, and just a constant reminder of how amazing EC was, going all the way back to the 50s. So thank you so much for joining us, Ann. I am so looking forward to being able to talk with everyone once they've read their copies of Cruel Universe next month, August 5th. Thank you, Ann.
Support your comic book shop, everyone.
All right. We will be back again after a short commercial break. Thank you all.
Bye.
Live from New York. What? Oh, sorry. Live from Cleveland? It's Friday night? It's Friday Night Live! With Nancy McCann. And Ricky. And sometimes Carlos. And featuring boxes and boxes of rare comics. Unique collectibles. Lots of smiles and conversations with new friends. Friday Night Live with Comics Unlimited. Friday night from 9 to 11 on The Experience.
Twitch. It's not just what happens when you have too many energy drinks anymore. Check out our content over there, too.
All right, man. That was such a great honor to have Ann, on just a moment ago. But during that, there was a great comment I want to bring up. Kyle, can you bring up that comment? Yeah, Kevin asked about the surprise drop about the new Apocalypse event book. If you're not aware, let's share a screen over to what Marvel announced on Wednesday. This is a crazy drop. Out of nowhere, Marvel made this post on July 9th, this Wednesday, talking about a new shadow drop, Age of Revelation, a new comic issue 0 that Jed McKay is going to be doing. Obviously, this time's a little bit with the upcoming giant-sized X-Men #2, but select comic stores will be getting an Age of Revelation #0 with next Wednesday's release. Now, that means not every comic shop, maybe your local comic shop is, maybe it is not going to be getting the Age of Revelation #0. Maybe they're only going to be getting one copy. Maybe they're going to be getting 0 copies. But this is a big one. This fall, there is going to be an Age of Apocalypse style takeover from Marvel, where all of the X books, and not just X books, other books, as you can see on the Marvel announcement down here, are going to be converting over to brief alternate forms, just like they did 30 years ago for Age of Apocalypse. So, we're going to be getting X-Men is becoming Amazing X-Men. Uncanny will be the Unbreakable X-Men. Things like the Emma Frost will be Iron and Frost. Laura Kinney is no longer going to be Laura Kinney Wolverine. It'll be Laura Kinney Sabretooth. Now, this is all crazy, but here's the big one that you guys need to know in relation to FOC. Some stores will be getting that Age of Revelation #0 next Wednesday. Not all stores, and they won't all be getting a large quantity. So if you want to grab this X-Men Age of Revelations, just like with books on FOC, you want to reach out to your local comic shop immediately. The sooner the better, saying you want the Age of Revelation #0. Because not even all comic shops are aware. If you're not paying close attention to the news, you might not be aware of this Age of Revelation #0. So as you can see, if you go over to PRH Comics, not only is there going to be a really cool short box that will be coming out later this year. In fact, the FOC will be during Comic-Con, so we'll be talking about that later. But ignore the FOC. June 9th, this was not on FOC. You watched us talk FOC June 9th. This was not there. This was announced out of the blue this Wednesday. So if you want your local comic shop to carry it, they might not be aware of it. Let them know you want the X-Men Age of Apocalypse or Age of Revelation #0. They can go to PRH Comics and order it starting this past Wednesday. Now, I can say that I ordered a bunch for my shop for customers, but not everyone saw this news. This was a surprise Marvel dropped, kind of like the Moon Knight Fist of Khonshu #0, if anybody remembers that. It is a surprise, and that was a surprise that Marvel did that was blundered from many comic shops as they rushed to order it. Even if you, as a comic shop, ordered it the day this was announced on Wednesday, and I can say I did, my comic shop is not going to be getting it in time for next Wednesday. Most comic shops won't. I'm going to be blunt. It is a disaster Marvel threw upon us. It is exciting. It is awesome. I really want this Humberto Ramos, Jed McKay book in my customers' hands. But this is one of those things when Marvel chooses to surprise us all. It surprises us all, whether you're a retailer or a consumer, and it does not mean there is going to be a delightful on-sale date that it claims of July 16th. Comic shops will be getting it starting July 16th, but realistically, I expect late in the week and more realistically the week after. I mean, I don't know. Kyle, what are your thoughts on Marvel drops like this?
So I want to make sure that I understand this one.
Mm.
So they announced 2 days ago
2 days ago
that this was happening. You had to order it, and it's supposed to come out next week.
Yes.
And your shop may or may not carry it. Your shop may or may not get comp copies from Marvel to promote it. Your shop may or may not be able to adequately mobilize this. So there's a #0 for an event that they're having in the fall that they're not letting you promote properly. I have one thought, but I can't say it best. I do believe Dave Chappelle said it best.
Fool this man!
I don't fully disagree with you, but in the same...
This is the reason we have FOC, guys. Years and years ago, Marvel would pull this. I'll be honest. Okay. We try not to cuss on the channel, so I'm not gonna. But years and years ago, Marvel would pull this kind of bull feces, and people would get screwed. And Brian Hibbs took it upon himself to go out and force FOC to be a thing, so that stores could order properly, so that they could get product properly, so that they could market properly the product they were going to be carrying. And now Marvel's playing games, and this is the second time they played this game, and the first time it went so well, they decided to play it again?
Yeah.
I personally would be tempted not to carry a single book from this line.
And yet, in the same, I hate to be the opposite on this. As a retailer who had
I'm not dumb enough to actually do that, but I would be tempted to, because it's Jed McKay and Humberto Ramos. It's a license to print money. But I would be tempted to say, I'm not going to carry it. If this is how Marvel is going to treat me, this is predatory.
Yeah.
This is a problem.
You bring up Brian Hibbs and the creation of FOC, and I don't know that when Brian started his lawsuit, if you're not familiar, Brian Hibbs is a comic retailer at the Incredible Comics Experience in San Francisco. Started a lawsuit with Marvel over abusive tactics Marvel did towards retailers. And it led to the creation of the FOC. And Brian's actually offered to be on the show before. When we request him, we need to take him up on that because that's an amazing story for FOC. But that's a later show. I mean, I'd love to hear Brian's thoughts on this X-Men Age of Revelation.
Oh,
but,
I don't think Brian could keep his blood pressure low enough right now to talk about this. And that's a man who's had some heart conditions. So, like, let's save him for a time when he won't be so angry. But no, it's true. This is why we do this show, guys.
Yeah.
This is why we do FOC. Mathias and I don't wake up early on Fridays for our health. We do this because we know how important this concept is for you, the customer, for the retailer, for everybody. And when a company like Marvel takes a product that should be hugely successful and treats it like this and treats us like this, it's like an abusive boyfriend. It's an abusive partner situation. This is not good. This is not healthy for the industry. It's not healthy for stores. It's not healthy for Marvel. It's not healthy for the series. And I'll be honest, if David Gabriel is out there, bro, this is the reason people don't trust you.
Wow, that was the mic drop statement. I want to point out really quick. So Kyle is hitting this as we're live. He is getting this information live. I've had 2 days to set on this. So I would like to express my, like having 2 days to set on this because yes, Wednesday, I think I was as riled up as Kyle is right now. But let me give the counterpoint, even though I agree with Kyle in the vast majority of this.
If you guys don't know, I'm in the hospital right now. If they came and took my blood pressure right now, they would not let me leave later.
And this is why you're the workhorse. You are literally in the hospital. You can see his wristband.
That's how hot I am right now.
Yeah. And you're still producing this show as the workhorse that loves comics so much that we can't even get you.
FOC don't stop because I don't feel good.
Yeah. But I'm sure you actually have an IV cable attached to you right now. Like, oh my God. Oh, this is why we love the EXP and we love Kyle, that he is that committed. All right. Let me speak my piece on the Age of Revelation. I think this is handled poorly. Obviously, I experienced the Moon Knight Fist of Khonshu #0 probably differently than a lot of retailers because it had a cover by the incredible EM Gist or EM Gist, and Eric is a customer of mine, so I had a little bit more heads up than most people, and it still was hard to do. Marvel did not provide enough copies to retailers. We had to rush to reorder it. There was not a guaranteed control on release. So it was kind of you got it in when you got it in. You sold it as you could sell it. And it's going to be a similar thing on this. We don't know. Arguably my Penguin Random House shipment is in my store right now, and that's not going to be the same for all retailers. But not being at the store because I'm filming this, I don't know how many copies I got. I'm lucky enough to know I got copies at my store. Not every store is getting copies, which already is an unfair thing. That is not cool. Even as a store who's getting it, it is unfair. There should not be any store that is selling Marvel that can't guarantee they have copies of this in their store for Wednesday. And I don't know how many copies I'm going to have. Am I going to have 1 copy? Am I going to have 10 copies? Am I going to have 5,000 copies? Probably not the latter. But that's also not fair. The fact that I didn't get a proper notification, I had to find out about this as the news dropped from one of my staff who is very informed and very wonderful, and I am very thankful for her. And I had to quickly go hop on Penguin Random House and place an order. That's not cool. But playing the devil's advocate, this is cool because this is excitement. We are talking about this. People in my comic shop were talking about this Wednesday. People are going to be talking about this on the release day on Wednesday. And that is cool. So here's what I can say. If you're a retailer, you can go to Penguin Random House right now and place an order for this. Please share the screen again. You can see the order screen on here. This is the public-facing one. I'm not showing my retail version of this. But you can go to PRH Comics as a consumer and see this on screen momentarily. And this is something you can order. So As a retailer, if you would like to stock this, you need to go and order this right now. Like, wait till we're done with our show, but order it right now. As a consumer, if you want to buy this from your local comic shop, you need to reach out to your local comic shop. I hate to put this on your shoulders, but that's what the FOC show does. It puts you, the consumer, in the place of power to work with your local comic shop to get the books you want. And this is where you need to do it. You need to reach out to your local comic shop, because your local comic shop has the possibility of not being aware of this yet because the information was not provided properly. Your local comic shop may not yet have ordered this. They can order this, but you need to tell them. This is a weird situation. But I will say, I was annoyed 30 years ago with the Age of Apocalypse, but I retrospectively love it. And I feel it will be the same thing on this. I think that I'm going to really enjoy these stories. And this is all the more reason why you need to reach out to your local comic shop. Let them know you want Age of Revelation #0 if you do. And let them know whether or not in a few months, when we get to see all of these alternate titles, do you, as a local comic shop, want these books? Do you, if you're already getting the Emma Frost series, do you want Iron and Frost? Yes or no? Let your local comic shop know. If you're getting Laura Kinney Wolverine, do you want Laura Kinney Sabretooth? Let your shop know, because if you love Laura Kinney Wolverine but don't want to try Laura Kinney Sabretooth, it means the world to your shop to know whether they continue ordering the book or they don't. Are you adding it? Are you not? Because it is hard. We as local comic shop owners put our money up front. We have to place these orders and put our money where our orders are, not knowing whether the consumer wants these books. And this is a hard twist where less people than normal may want Laura Kinney Sabretooth than they get of Laura Kinney Wolverine. More people could want it. You can find out more information on this at marvel.com. Sadly, that is where it started. I'm sure various comic journalists are going to talk about this. You'll probably see it on websites like Bleeding Cool, to Comics Beat, ICV2, and more, AIPT, all these wonderful comic journalism sites that do their best to get the journalism out there. Various podcasts, streaming service. I'm certain the EXP will be talking about this at some point in the near future. Is that right, Kyle? Yeah. If you can get an angry Kyle to let it stream. But no, this is odd. I mean, do people who normally want Deadpool, are they going to get Undeadpool? If you're a person who normally gets Deadpool and you want Undeadpool, let your comic shop know. If you're a person who doesn't get Deadpool and you want to get Undeadpool, definitely let your comic shop know so they can figure out ordering. This is chaos. This is the reason the FOC show Order Up exists, is so you as the consumer can let your comic shop know, and your comic shop can place appropriate orders so they have enough to guarantee if you want it, you're getting it. And if you don't want it, they're not sitting with copies they paid good money for sitting on the shelf unsold. As a consumer, work with your local comic shop and let them know what you want to buy and what you don't want to buy so they can order appropriately. As a retailer, work with your consumers so they know they can get their books from your shop, or to not over order if they don't want it. And in cases like the X-Men Age of Revelation #0, where we had 0 initial orders, where we didn't honestly have a final order cutoff, we can order and adjust appropriately. Now, I don't want to let this episode be entirely about this, but I need this to be on everyone's radar. As retailers, you need to know to go place your orders if you're going to order it. As consumers, you need, please, if you're a comic fan, reach out to your local comic shop and let them know. And then if you're a publisher, this is the big one, whether you're Marvel or not, any of you publishers.
Don't pull this crap.
Well, asterisk. Things like this do lead to people talk. It does lead to tension. It does lead people to go to your comic shop and make an event. But there's a better way to do this than Marvel did. I think events like this need to happen. And I think that Skybound and Robert Kirkman masterfully pulled this off multiple times, with Die, 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 which we'll be talking a little bit more about, with Negan #0, which we have discussed in the past and was a masterpiece. Well done and helped many comic shops during a time they needed it. And even with weird things like, I believe it was Solid Blood. I can never remember what the name of that
Well,
crazy.
so Image has done, and Kirkman have done great things like this with Oblivion Song, where they released the trade first. They did great things with Firepower, where again, like they were just sending you stuff at random. You didn't have to order it, but every shop got the same, right? It wasn't like
numbers that matched salable quantities because they were
right.
comparing Walking Dead.
Right. Every shop got, and when I say the same, they all got treated the same. This is not that. This is treating certain shops better than others, treating shops who have, again, the ability, like Mathias had, to see this news, jump on it, and act immediately, better than shops who maybe are one-person operations who only look at initial order and FOC.
It's a good idea
Right?
for execution.
Right. It's a good idea, terrible execution. And that's the problem. You guys, I think everybody here has been around long enough to know that these stunts can work really well. I think Age of Revelation is a great concept. I really do. I like the idea of zombie Deadpool.
Yeah.
Right? Like I loved Age of Apocalypse. Like these things can work really well, but they have to be executed flawlessly. And when they start off flawed by announcing on a Wednesday, the busiest day of the week for most comic retailers, that, oh, this book is out next Wednesday after you've already finalized your orders and after PRH has probably already started picking and packing your next order, you're setting everyone up to fail, including yourself.
Yeah. So I got to give a huge shout out to Dungeon Crawler Kevin for bringing up this topic so we can discuss it, and also because of his other comment that he called both of his shops and hoped to get at least a copy. I think that is cool to give them the heads up, So as always, like work with your local comic shop, get your orders to them, let them know what you know, because sometimes they don't, and like understand when they can't do these things because it's crazy.
Right. I don't even have a problem with, and Marvel has done this in the past, and I don't necessarily have a problem with it. The announcement of, hey guys, we're going to do a super secret book. It's an X-Men event book. Well, that's enough for somebody like Mathias to be able to look at his POS numbers, his order numbers, and say, okay, I can sell approximately this many. And then place an order for an unknown product, knowing that it's an X-Men event book that goes on sale way back at FOC, and you still don't have to give it away.
Yeah.
You still don't have to, you could still drop the spoiler last Wednesday, but retailers will have been able to at least act appropriately given the opportunity.
On that note, I'm going to give some insider information that might get me in trouble, but I'm going to do it anyway. Kyle, don't stop me. If any publishers are watching, because I know we have a number of publishers that watch this show, and it's a great honor that that's the case. I'm going to outright say this is something that Skybound has done masterfully. And Skybound, I don't always agree with. There are moments where I get upset at Skybound, but for the most part, they are a wonderful company and great part of Image. And one thing they have masterfully done is when they've done surprise drops like this, they have treated shops equally. They've done orders there. They gave the books away for free, which, look, arguably Marvel might be doing. But those are wonderful things. But one of the great things that Skybound has done is they have a respect for retailers where they will give us information privately with the understanding that we will be partners and respect that. And while some retailers, have leaked information, have brought information to Rich Johnson at Bleeding Cool and done things that aren't always cool, for the most part, Skybound announced that Transformers would be in Void Rivals to retailers well before anyone, and retailers kept that a secret. And that was awesome on the retailer's end and awesome on Skybound end. Skybound let retailers know about the contents of the Invincible Battle Beast blind bags before, and that was very awesome on Skybound's behalf and very awesome on retailers end that we all kept that secret. And I love those moments. And I
Right.
hope that all publishers can have a respect for retailers to let us know this information so we can share these surprises with consumers to build an excitement of surprise in your local comic shop that drives you to a local comic shop on Wednesday, to go to the brick and mortar and support the local comic shop in the way that has that excitement. But I also hope that retailers can always honor that respect with publishers and keep those secrets. So when we have a drop like the Age of Revelation, that it can be handled appropriately, that it can give you the excitement that we all want, that blows up the comic scene and gets us all talking, but in a positive and amazing way, because that's the ideal. But on that note, let's go and talk about some other publishers with books that are properly on Final Order Cutoff this Monday, July 14th, returning to the fray and the reason why you tune into this show week after week.
And now for something completely different.
So, yeah, let's go over to Lunar Distribution. All right, so lunardistribution.com. We got our DC Image, Oni, Vault, and more. And we're going to start off with some absolute titles. The other big companies, big books. Well, Marvel's rocking it with Ultimate. Skybound's going crazy with Energon. The third of the big ones, and not necessarily in the third place, is DC's Absolute, as it continues on with Absolute Green Lantern and Absolute Superman and all of their great covers. Also having fresh from the Superman movie, the Authority Omnibus is big with Engineer right there on the cover. If you liked Engineer and Superman, no, I'm not saying spoilers. Don't worry about it. No spoilers there. But we've seen her in the trailers, Engineer. So if you want to know,
I haven't seen the trailers.
Oh, well, Engineer, Omnibus, it's awesome. Yeah. Maybe you like her, maybe you hate her, maybe you won't even see her in the Superman movie. All right. Continuing on with fun stuff. I do have to take a moment to talk about the Batman #1 blind bags. Batman is getting relaunched with a new #1 following up Hush 2. Matt Fraction and Jorge Jimenez are going to be bringing us some awesome new Batman. The main Batman titles will be on FOC in about a week. But if you want some blind bag fun, speaking of the Invincible blind bag stuff, DC is offering blind bags. What do you get in there? So the blind bags will be $9.99. You are guaranteed a foil cover by one of these incredible artists. Jorge Jimenez, Andy Cooper, David Aja, Frank Quietly, Gabriel Delotto, J. Scott Campbell, Jim Lee, Julian Totino Tedesco, Mark Silvestri. But here's the big one. There's even a Stanley Art Germ Lau. What front cover only means, I don't know. I guess maybe only the front of it's foil. Maybe everyone else is doing wraparound. I don't know. But the big secrets are 1 in 500 of them will have an alternate foil Jim Lee cover, and 1 in 1,000 will have an alternate foil Jorge Jimenez. Is that enough to make this as crazy as Invincible Battle Beast blind bags? Possibly not. I'm going to say I've looked at a lot of these covers already. They're pretty straightforward Batman covers. Do I want them? Yeah, I do. Do I want specific ones? Of course, I want the J. Scott Campbell and the Mark Silvestri.
See, this is where we're very different people. I don't care about either of those, but I definitely want the David Aja, and I definitely want the Frank Quietly, and I definitely want the Jorge Jimenez 1 in 1,000. Yeah, this is where we're very different people, Mathias.
Oh no, absolutely, and that's what makes this show fun. And I love that Kevin does point out the Invincible blind bag was cheaper, but I will also say that DC foils are always cheaper than Marvel.
Right, but this is also a larger book.
Yes, it is. We should point that out. I have not. We'll talk more about that when Batman hits. But yes, so if you want, here's the big one. We had this conversation when the Invincible Battle Beast blind bags were on FOC, and every store didn't order enough. Yeah, there might be a handful of stores that are still sitting on them and are really happy, and congratulations to those stores. But no one ordered enough. No one pre-ordered enough. This isn't going to have the big grand twist that I'm aware of the Battle Beast. I mean, like, as far as I know, there's no Detective 27 getting reprinted in foil in this. Maybe there is. I don't know. I don't believe that's the case. But if you want multiple, it's blind bags. It's like packs of cards. You don't know. I don't know for a fact I'm going to get my J. Scott Campbell if I buy 3 of these.
Right.
Maybe I'll get lucky and I'll get that 1 in 500. Maybe I won't. We don't know. But if you want to go after multiple bags, let your retailer know. Let your retailer know if you want 2 or 3 or 10 of these bags. If you want to go for 500, let your retailer know. They'll probably be very happy with you to order multiple. I can say that I am excited for Matt Fraction to take his hit on Batman because I loved his Iron Fist and his Hawkeye. And I think that him doing Batman, it'll be crazy fun.
Well, and the thing that Matt said that, and it's why, I normally would be coming down the hill at, oh, DC couldn't come up with an original idea, just had to rip off Battle Beasts. But there is a distinct difference between what Matt Fraction is doing with Batman and what Chip Zdarsky was doing with Batman last before the Hush thing happened. Right? There is a very distinct difference that having the blind bag kind of, you have to discover the difference, makes it a fun little gimmick. Like I said, normally I would be, this is a dumb piece of marketing. Like, what is this, the 90s? But no, they're so distinctly different, even though Matt and Chip are basically the same side of the same coin sometimes. We've all read Sex Criminals. Anyway, the having it behind a bag, having these special covers gives you a little bit of something that when you tear into the book itself, like if you're just buying this because of the covers, you're missing out on what is, I suspect, going to be one of the most interesting and fun Batman books since the launch of New 52.
Yes. And yes, this is not the first time DC has done blind bags, as was said in the comments. They did the Harley Quinn blind bags. They also did the issue
Death of Superman.
Superman blind. Oh, Death of Superman that was a blind bag that was, you couldn't see what was in it, but every one of those for the most part had the same thing inside.
Right. The Return of Superman.
Yeah. With Harley Quinn and with the New 52 issue 50s for Batman Superman, there was mysteries of what was going to be in there. You had different cover options, but you knew the cover artists. The cover was the same. It was the variation of the cover that was different. And there was the possibility of signed stuff, which was really, really cool. There were signed things that were unannounced in the Batman Superman ones, signed by various cast or crew and
forgotten about that one.
Film. But we don't know. There could be that again. There could be, who knows, signed stuff. We don't know. I wouldn't bank on it. But there are different cover creators on there. You got to comment on that. Go ahead.
No, TJ, am I supposed to ship that to you? Did you buy that for me? Is that you reminding me that as soon as I get out of here, I have to do shipping?
Obviously, in the hospital, so I understand that. But all right. So,
just Sex Criminals is great. Chip Zdarsky, who was writing Batman before Hush, was partnered with Matt Fraction on it. Again, these two guys work so well together that the transition is just super important. Again, super excited for this. I bought a bunch of these blind bags.
Okay, so yes, blind bags. Let your retailer know. Don't be caught unaware like you guys were on Invincible. It may not be the same as the Battle Beast, but it is still something where there is a chance for big prizes that are lottery value, because the aftermarket of that Jim Lee or Jorge Jimenez is going to be insane. But let your retailer know if you want to gamble on blind bags. I'm not even trying to gamble. I just know I want that J. Scott Campbell and Mark Silvestri cover. So I'm going to buy a few so I can get myself that. And I'm sure, it's fun because, I know in my comic shop, I'm going to play a game of trading. Like, hey, man, I got that David Aja. I don't need it, but Kyle does. Did you get that J. Scott Campbell? It's like trading cards. It's
right.
So
no, this is going to be a lot of fun for us.
Yeah.
And so again, I normally would be angry at this, but I'm very excited for it.
Yeah. So it'll be a fun one. So and plus, look at that really cool, sharp pointed blue. It's a Nightwing-esque, like Batman logo. It's fun.
Okay.
All right. Other fun ones. Oh, go ahead.
I wanted to mention the Harley Quinn.
That's where I was going.
Facsimile edition with Alex Ross. Guys, I don't know if you've necessarily been tracking the price of the first printing of that Mad Love issue right there. But it has done nothing in the past 5 years but get more and more expensive.
Yeah.
It is in medium grade, and not even in high grade, in medium grade, a $60 to $80 book these days.
Yeah.
It's just getting harder and harder to put your hands on, but now they have this beautiful facsimile edition of it so that if you don't have a copy in your collection, you can have it. And they're partnering it with the they've been doing these for years, the Alex Savick action figure NECA style cover too. So again, that's just one that if you don't have that book in your collection, you definitely need to pick that one up.
I mean, I have it in my collection, and I want this action figure variant. I want the action figure on top of that. I wish they'd do a superpowered Harley Quinn. But I'm going to, of course, be buying blanks because you know how me and Kyle love our blanks. You know, so I can get some fun Harley Quinn sketches. And then on top of that, I'm totally getting a foil. I have an original of this cover. Now I want the foil.
Right.
So I'm buying multiple copies of this book. What can I say? DC is making me buy multiples of everything. As it does every week or every month with Birds of Prey, with all of its great covers, on top of Kelly Thompson's incredible interior writing that I love to death. A lot of fun. We also have the final issue. Hold on, let me go back to Bitterroot: The Next Movement, which only makes me hope that there will be even more Bitterroot after that. A lot of great ones. We have Greg Rucka repairing with Nicholas Scott, which is awesome. I love when they team up together. I loved their Wonder Woman Year One. They're combining Cheetah and Cheshire to tackle the Justice League in a heist. I'm certain that will be fun. And it's a great, great creative team with amazing covers.
I had forgotten that Cheshire existed.
How do you forget that the mother of Roy Harper's daughter existed? This is a woman who knew,
because I don't keep track of other people's baby mamas. But no, I had forgotten that Cheshire. They haven't used Cheshire in so long.
Yeah, that is true.
That to have Cheetah, I saw Cheetah. I'm like, oh great, a cool Cheetah book. Oh wait, they're bringing back Cheshire and they're robbing the Justice League. Anyway, super excited for that, and it's Greg Rucka, who Matthias and I both were like, we should try and get him on the show this week, and we just weren't able to pull it off. So glad to have Ann Nocenti, but still. We're both pretty excited for that book.
Any of them would have been an honor. Like, you know, Greg is amazing. And if Greg is watching, anybody who knows Greg is watching, we'd love to have him on the show one day. But, oh, my God, having Ann on here, like, I don't know if you could see me fanboying out in there.
Yeah.
I know that you were off camera because you were fanboying out.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah. Okay. Trying to hold it together.
Another great one that we'll talk a little bit more later on is Detective 880 is getting a facsimile. We'll talk more about that, though. Talk about that.
Jock, man. That Jock cover has always been sought after.
Talk about this, Kyle.
The new story arc. So we're just coming off of a one of what I would consider one of the best story arcs in Dick Tracy writing in about 50 years in the arc that Alex just finished up here on Dick Tracy. And now in issue 11, we jump into a brand new story arc. This is a good jumping on point. I will be honest, I have not read issue 11 yet. I have access to it. I just haven't read it yet. So I don't know what's happening. So I will be enjoying this with you guys. But Alex Segura has been absolutely crushing Dick Tracy. It feels like the old Chester Gould Dick Tracy from the old days. It doesn't feel like the terrible Warren Beatty Dick Tracy that we've all been saddled with for the last 30 years. But this cover, the Francisco Francavilla, is really cool. But if you close this, Matthias, and go back to the A cover, this cover, which is by this one is Geraldo Borges.
Yeah, the interior artist.
Yeah, who does the interiors. I just love the look of every character on that cover. And this gives you a little idea of who the gang is going to be encountering, doesn't it?
Yeah. I also want to point out really quickly, in a very unrelated thing, I love that Lunar is the fastest website. Diamond, Penguin Random House, everything else, nothing loads as quick as Lunar. So Christina Merkler, thank you so much for having a incredibly fast server.
A website that works.
So let's. I talked about I've talked about Die. Yeah, I've talked about Skybound a little bit, in the past few minutes in ways I was not expecting. But it's kind of like we weren't expecting the comic Die when it came out from Robert Kirkman. That was an amazing book. Him and Chris Burnham just did an amazing job. It was somewhat short-lived, but it was intense. If you want a punch you in the face nosebleed of a comic that you would never see coming, that is Die. It was intense. It was amazing. I hope there's more. Nothing will punch you in the face in the way of comics the way that this will. And this comic hopefully won't punch you in the face, but if you drop it from a foot onto your face, the hardcover of it and the weight will probably give you a nosebleed, much like this comic's intense storytelling and artwork does. So not for kids, not remotely for kids, not for the faint of heart, and not for people who don't want an intense book. Yes, I think that Danny said it wonderfully. This book is a Red Bull. But Die, super intense action and craziness if you need that in your life. A lot of other great ones that you can see if you check Lunar Distribution. Obviously, we had a great interview with Ann Nocenti, but that is hardly all when it comes to Cruel Universe 2. It has Charlie Adler of Walking Dead fame, Jay Holtham of Epitaphs from the Abyss, Kano, Ann Nocenti, David Rubin, Greg Pak. This is just going to be craziness. And it's 12 issues this time. We're not just getting 5, we're getting 12 in the second volume of Cruel Universe. A lot of great covers there. And foils once again. Yeah, look at that Liam Sharp 1 in 100. Not every shop is going to get this. Reach out to your local retailers, see if they're going to get 100 copies, but that is some Liam Sharp awesomeness. Also, I really want to bring the attention before anyone gets caught off guard. Part of the Protopius collection that got a lot of attention for using AI before. Entanglement new one-shot has a possibility of getting AI again. Keep in mind if you're placing your orders and you have an issue with AI art in comics.
Real quick on that one, just so everyone's aware, on Entanglement.
Move this man!
Anyway.
Fair enough. All right. One that has my attention, Sam Humphries on Gotcha Man with a beach issue. I just had to point it out. I'm excited about this. I am all intrigued by that book. Pascal Quilano on artwork as well. All sorts of fun with G.I. Joe, Herculoids. We have a lot of great ones. A lot of stuff coming out from Lunar right now. Vault is going straight to graphic novel form with this Best Digital Comic nominated Eisner piece, Internal Sea, Mare Internum. As I know a lot of the judges for the Eisners this year, and I trust their great opinions, I definitely have to pick this up. I'm curious why this got nominated, and I want to give it a read. So, physical form of the Best Digital Comic nominee for the Eisners this year. We have a lot of continuing things there. Justice League versus Godzilla versus Kong continuing on. If you didn't read Kill Train from Mad Cave,
so good.
Mention. Absolutely.
So good. I didn't realize you could have a bottle episode comic, but Kill Train figured it out and did it so well.
Yeah. Continuing the Mega Man one-shots that all interconnect in Mega Man timelines. We have Mega Man Zero timelines. Mega Man Zero, one of my favorite, not my favorite, but one of my favorite Mega Man video games. So I love the idea of getting comics of it. Also, for those who are seeing the Superman movie and want more Metamorpho trade paperback by Al Ewing and Steve Lieber on FOC.
I knew Metamorpho was in the movie. That's not a spoiler.
Yeah, but one way or another, if you want more Metamorpho, there's the way to go. Another one, final issue of Noel Hunter, but I want to point out is Orla. John Lees has been doing a great job marketing this to comic shops, but this is a very interesting tale about a young woman who is using modern dating apps to find love and something far more violent. this is an interesting twist on the modern woman and dating apps, as she has a monster inside who is quite insatiable. And it is not the way you think, but the cover could give proper hint on it.
I need to text Keith Davidson and see if they will give me free copies of Orla if I write a Lola parody about Orla.
Yes, indeed.
I met him on an app, and he's a demon. Anyway,
Yeah.
we'll figure it out.
So another great one, if you are fans of Sean Gordon Murphy and you haven't read Plot Holes, this trade is now finally offered properly now through Lunar Distribution. And I love me some Sean Gordon Murphy, and this was a great one. I missed it on Kickstarter. I am happy to grab the massive trade. So a lot of wonderful continuing series, as always. Check them all out at Lunar Distribution. So many continuing series and awesome ones. Another one I got to give attention for those of you guys who are loving the new season of Rick and Morty. Rick and Morty versus the Universe hit this week, or hit this last week from Oni Press. There is a one-shot tie-on featuring my favorite character from Rick and Morty, Summer. The Summer of Love one-shot is by Jody Hauser and Daniel Kibblesmith, who both know a little bit about writing Rick and Morty. Whether you grab this as a standalone or you're grabbing it as part of the big Rick and Morty versus the Universe event, this is going to be a fun one. Summer being a badass cannot go wrong. And then
there's a book on here that I don't know who the publisher is. I literally have no information other than I saw the cover and was like, I'm ordering this, which is Romanus Magicae.
Yes, indeed.
Just looks interesting. Conceptually, it is a ancient Roman ex-legionnaire, drunk, haunted by the shame of his past, stumbles across a young girl being chased by a strange hooded demon, and in an attempt to help, he is plunged into a deadly conspiracy that threatens to destroy the Empire.
Yeah, and you got Matthew Blair writing it. That's the interesting thing.
The thing that got me, equal parts Hellboy, BPRD, and a little bit of Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Yeah, some great covers on there. This was a smaller indie publisher. I cannot remember. I want to say it was CEX, but I'm probably wrong on that, so don't take me.
Might have been
there, but definitely worth letting your retailer know if you are interested in this, because as it's a smaller publisher, even though it's available through Lunar Distribution, they might not be stocking it until you let them know you want to give it a shot.
Correct.
Absolutely. A lot of great continuing titles, again, available. Check out Lunar Distribution. Sisterhood continuing on. We had Maytal a few weeks back. If you haven't checked out that interview, go back on YouTube on the EXP and watch that interview. Go grab issue number 1. It is amazing. We'll talk a little bit more about Sisterhood later. Same with the Spawn Black Ritual, the Book of Nyx. We had Tom on. We'll talk a little bit more about this later. Great book. Make sure you are getting it. Reach out to your retailer. So lots of fun.
Star Wars Insider continues now through Lunar, which I love.
Yeah.
And
there
I
is
love that
editions. They're no longer PX editions because Lunar's the one handling it, but you can still get the direct market editions now through Lunar Distribution.
That was exactly what I was going to say. They found a way to continue the variant cover by making it a direct market edition rather than a previews exclusive.
Yes, indeed. More Thundercats fun. A lot of big going on in Thundercats. A lot of great covers because, Nikki and Dynamite love their covers, and those are awesome. Although I am excited. Toxic Avenger number 1 did hit this week, which is great for you Trauma fans. If you are excited about the upcoming movie, finally, there it is. There is the photo variant of our Peter Dinklage Toxic Avenger. It is a 1 in 5 unlockable variant, so reach out to your local comic shop if you would like it. Make sure they're capable of getting it, and they are going to get it, and then place an order for it if you can.
I don't know how I feel about that. Now that I've seen the photo, I don't know how I feel.
Yeah,
I'm gonna need a minute.
The movie. Ooh, movie's hitting later this year. Speaking of movies, I got to really quickly give a shout out because there was the Army of Darkness Red Sonja. The trailer dropped for Red Sonja hitting this summer, and Well, I think some people are not expecting it. I'm excited by it. The Red Sonja trailer had me excited. I cannot wait for a new Red Sonja live action.
I didn't watch it.
When you get out
I
of
don't watch trailers.
Yeah, okay, that's fair. But you're of course going to watch the movie.
Probably, but I don't watch trailers.
Okay.
So,
well, if you do watch trailers, go give it a shot. Give it a shout out. Dynamite's incredible Red Sonja getting a live action movie. Now we just need a good Vampirella movie. I would be all for Rachel Holland, our cosplayer who does a lot of the great Vampirella covers, being the live action Vampirella. Be an interesting twist. But yeah, just
it would be. I was just thinking about that because Rachel Holland, 100% would be great.
All right. But yeah, those are the incredible books. A lot of continuing series, so we just don't have the time to go over it. But I know what we have the time for right now, and I think it's the top 10. So, shall we take it away, Kyle?
We shall. All right.
First off, having to get that honorable mention is Zdarsky Comic News. If you're not reading Zdarsky Comic News, reach out to your local comic shop. Let them know you want it because Ryan Stegman is stealing away the Zdarsky News to be the Stegman's health. This is going to be a funny one as Ryan Stegman doesn't take over as Zdarsky News for the 14th issue. And if you're not reading it, this is a great way to look at upcoming comics, to get interviews. This is the new Wizard magazine. I can't say it's the new Comics Journal because Comics Journal is still coming out, but it is the new Amazing Heroes, the new Comic Reader, the new Wizard magazine. It is fun. It is goofy. It is everything you love with Zdarsky or Ryan Stegman. And it has all these great people, as Ryan Stegman's going to be interviewing Sean Phillips and Ed Brubaker, and gets a few good jabs at Zdarsky and their loving relationship. So, of course, had to make it to the honorable mentions. Then we get to our top 10, with number 10 being Spawn Black Ritual. Nat Jones, who does the incredible interiors, is doing this amazing cover. I had to spotlight the Virgin cover, as this is just crazy, and it's got the word bubble. I love when we have word bubbles on covers.
Yeah, it's not something they do enough anymore, man. Talk on the comic cover.
Yeah.
It works for Archie. It works for everybody.
Yeah. I wouldn't say it works for everybody. I don't know that I'd love it on every book, but I do love it on this book.
Hey, if they talk about jalopies and cheeseburgers, it'll work for everybody.
Up there with Nat Jones and quality covers, Eamon Winkle and Robert Nugent teaming up on this Sisterhood, a Hyde Street story. Look, I already love Sisterhood. We had Maytal talk about it when she was on a previous interview for FOC of number 1. But I love Eamon Winkle. He is a talented artist. He was up for the Russ Manning Newcomer Award last year, and while he didn't get it, he is still a brilliant new artist. If you haven't checked out Principles of Necromancy, where he did all the interiors, worth checking out. And look at that amazing cover. Then we get Bring On the Bad Guys. Look at that Liber Mayho cover. Plus, I just think this is going to be an amazing issue in every way, shape, and form, from Stephanie Phillips writing to the backup, the idea of Red Skull versus Cap making a deal with Mephisto, who just had his big MCU debut in Ironheart. I shouldn't have said that out loud, but I screwed up. Bring On the Bad Guys. Cool. That'll be a big one.
I'll be honest. I didn't notice that this was Liber Mayho. I thought this was Alex Ross.
It's up there. It's quality, right?
Yeah, it's got that Alex Ross feel to it. I love it.
Speaking of stunning covers, Yeom Kyu-yong doing an unbelievable cover of Black Canary on Birds of Prey 24 with the little tiny yellow canary right there on the edge of the building. But yeah, just everything about that. Wow. Plus, every issue of Birds of Prey is amazing because Kelly Thompson, just everything she writes is perfection.
You guys who are on the EXP regular, you know how I feel about Bite, aka Felicity Smoke. I'll be honest. She may have just gotten passed because of this cover. So something about combat boots and fishnets. Anyway.
Rebecca Puebla doing a stunning cover for the Boom 20th anniversary variant on Grimm. This is the penultimate issue of Grimm. Once again, another incredible Stephanie Phillips book in the top 10, and the penultimate issue. 25 is the final issue of Grimm. This is going to be big, as we have a new ruler in the seat of hell. This is going to be a fun one. I am looking forward to that. Then, of course, this is like an all-strong female, whether it's female creators or female characters. Cheetah and Cheshire robbed the Justice League. I love that Gerald Perel foil cover. It's going to be foil, and it's a DC foil, so it's still affordable foil is the thing I love. I think DC has the most affordable foils over Marvel, Oni, and everyone right now. So this has me excited. And then Greg Rucka, Nicola Scott doing the interiors. This is going to be awesome. Throwing it to the other end, Jason Aaron, the beardiest man in comics, with Uncle Scrooge, the Earth's Mightiest Duck. Look at that Delato cover. That is awesome. Everything about that also amazing. Just I'm loving all the books in the top 10 this week. These are awesome. Then we hit a big one. It's Peter Laird's TMNT Journeys coming back, but Kevin Eastman wasn't a part of that. So now we get a Kevin Eastman cover on that, on top of it, bringing the pair together. I love that Kevin Eastman and Peter Laird came back with, Last Ronin stuff. I love when Kevin Eastman and Peter Laird did their big joint cover on TMNT Usagi about 2 years ago. And now TMNT Journeys, which is the Peter Laird Teenage Mutant Turtles of the early 2000s, getting a Kevin Eastman cover is just, I love whenever we get the Eastman Laird combo on Turtles. Awesome. White House Robot Romance. If you are not putting this on your poll, I just wonder, do you hate both America and Canada at the same time? Because this is a Canadian writer doing an American political romance thriller as America goes to war with Canada. Everything about this is chaos, craziness, and what we need right now.
I'm gonna do a thing here, Mathias, just so people can see this cover fully. You're gonna need to.
I'm no longer there, but yeah, look at that blood splatter maple leaf right there.
All right, and then let me bring Mathias back on camera here. Oh, he's got to enable his own camera.
I got to enable my own camera to come back and talk about the number one spot. Right now, if you were to buy a first printing of Detective Comics 880, that would cost you around $130 to buy a first printing regular copy. The original artwork of Jock's cover that defines this book just sold at Heritage Auctions for $288,000. I wish that I could say Jock got that money, because he definitely deserves it for that masterpiece cover. But the nice thing is you can now buy this. This was the penultimate issue of Scott Snyder and Jock's Black Mirror story, which was also the penultimate issue of Detective Comics, one of the longer running comics in comic history, before it relaunched with number one back in September 2011 for the New 52. This is penultimate in a number of ways, but the big reason you're buying this is one of the most iconic Joker covers ever made, one of the most iconic Batman covers in existence. Jock did such an incredible job on this, and while I own an original, damned if I'm not buying this again as a foil. And this way, as a facsimile, Jock is hopefully getting a little bit of money on royalties, as he sadly didn't get a piece of that incredible Heritage sale. But I will say this for Jock is, at least, while he didn't get a cut, he does get an iconic definition of such a high selling cover, $250,000 plus on a piece of original art that he drew. Well, he doesn't get a cut of it. He gets that honor of saying that his artwork is worth that much. And now you guys can all hopefully give him a small cut of what he deserves with the facsimile edition, and say you can finally own this amazing cover, whether it's a facsimile or not. Beautiful, beautiful cover by Jock. God, Jock is such a talented artist, and I'm happy to get a facsimile of this, and hopefully get some royalties into his pocket. So that was our top 10 for this week, Monday. Comics on FOC for July 14th. A lot of great ones on there. Holy hell, Kyle. We had Ann Nocenti on the show.
I know.
That was awesome.
That was awesome. Shout out to Torma for making that happen last minute for us, helping us get that taken care of. Torma's a monster, and I love him. He's a great dude, and he has helped us out a lot over the last
Master of Sales
7 months.
Yeah,
7 months we've been doing this show.
To have Torma.
Yes, yes, absolutely. So, all that being said, we have other shows on the EXP today. Nick has so much art. He's gonna be like, "Do you want this one? Do 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 you want this one?" Because we can't make a PowerPoint big enough to show all of his art. And then Nancy will be here later with Dawn doing their usual Vintage Plus requests on their show. Since I'm getting sprung out of here, we're going to see how I'm feeling, but I likely will be back Sunday with a live sale here Sunday night on the EXP. And maybe you're going to check out our social media about, a little announcement that we made earlier. Just, feel like maybe. I don't know.
Follow the EXP on social media. Kyle threw the link in the comments. You want to follow it because not only do you get informed about all the crazy things that are on the XP, because, well, Kyle does it every show, or Jay or one of the other people does it every show talking about all of them. That's the way to keep being informed, because big news. It is dropped for those in the know. If you don't know, follow social media. Check out the drop. Find all the news that will be all across comic journalism shortly. The EXP, man, and I got to say, can we just say, great job, Kyle?
Thank you.
When you read that announcement, that's awesome.
Yeah, thank you.
Great job. But I'm excited to see that news unfold in an epic length run of the EXP. But I'll stop talking about it.
Yeah, we'll definitely have more to talk about later. But in the meantime, it's 3:05 Eastern. We've been doing this for a long time. You guys need to call your local comic shops to get these books ordered. And we will see everybody later on the experience. Be good to each other.
Fix my air conditioning. I'm melting.
Be good to each other, everybody.